In this video, in this project, you will be learning to develop a simple graphical user interface, creating the user interface components, the UI positioning, and using layouts and different layouts and API discussions. So we'll be discussing it in a very practical manner. So we'll be developing this code practically, and this will be the output. It's a simple user interface with a label and a button, but you will learn a lot of important concepts practically. So let's do it now practically. I'm excited to take you through this video lecture, and let's do it now. So Java A to Z Code Like a Pro. So today's lesson is graphical user interface development lesson 1. So it's the first lesson of GUI development. And if you need to know about the previous lessons which we have done, what you have to do is you'll have to look at the meaning before GUI. If you want to know the basic concepts before starting the GUI, look at the other videos in this video lecture series. So in this session, you will learn graphical user interface, GUI development, and under that you will learn containers, components, and things layout. And then you will learn about the standard Java packages, API packages for Java GUI development, Java Extra Swing, and Java.awt, and practical code examples. The lesson plan for today, right? So introduction to GUI development, and then introduction to containers, components, and layouts. This is what we are going to do today in this lecture. And then we'll be digging into Java standard API packages, and then a simple hello world example. That's what you have to start with, a simple GUI and to understand all the concepts. Though it's a simple hello world, you will understand all the basic starting or core concepts of GUI development, and then finally we will talk about something JFrame set default clause operation, right? So to start with, now what is the concept behind developing a GUI for the if you are doing it for the first time, what's the concept, right? So this is a concept. So the concept is, first we have to create a container. So the containers are the things like JFrame, JDialog, and JPanel, and these are standard classes in Java. So you don't have to create them, they are already available, and they are available in the API. API stands for Application Programming Interface. I will show it in a little while, right? So immediately after this I will show what the API. So first you create a container, and then you set some important properties of the container, like the layout, the positioning, title, etc., right? So we will talk about what the layout is, when we go forward. And then you create the components after that, such as your labels and buttons, and then you will set the properties of the components such as the text, position, etc. And then you will add some event handling, like for example like a click event, right? If you have a click event of a button, then you will add the click event for that. But in this lecture we don't do the click event, we will do it in the lesson number 2, right? This is lesson number 1 of the series of the GUI development. And then after that you'll be adding the components to the container. This is the theory, and finally you display the container. Simple as that, isn't it, guys? Right? Just straightforward. So if you do this, how many steps are here? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. With these 7 steps you will develop your first GUI, and you will enjoy this, right? Coding is fun, guys. Coding is fun, right? So we are here as experienced developers to take you to the industry as soon as possible, ASAP, right? So let's, before the conclusion, so this is a concept, so let's start doing things, right? Okay, so let's start. So API, what is the API, right? So API is the Java standard Java document, application programming interface, for any developer to refer about its standard classes, the standard classes of Java. For example, if I want to know about the Java, let us say I said a few things, right? I said a few things here. Let me say, okay, so in this concept we said first you have to create a container, and I said the containers are JFrame, JDialog, and JPanel, right? So if you look at what JFrame is, so let's go and see what. Now if you need to know where JFrame is and what JFrame is, so you have to look at the API. So I'm going to the API and I'm going to say Java, say this is how you look for something, Java JFrame, right? Or you could even say Java API JFrame, right? So it will be, you will be taken to this Oracle Java developer documents, right? So official documents, and now you can see JFrame is a class, very important. And then also you can see something called Java X.Swing. So with that you will know JFrame belongs to the package Java X.Swing. And if you are new to the packages and concepts, look at our other videos in this series, right? Before the GUI part, right? So JFrame is a class, standard Java class, and it's in a package Java X.Swing. And this is the inheritance hierarchy, right? Which means JFrame inherits from frame inherits from window inherits from container, component, and topmost parent in Java is object, right? So you can see JFrame is a public class. which means if you import this package, you can create an object of this, and that's what you will be doing first, right? So the first step is create a container, and let's go and do it. So I'm going to start NetBeans, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my NetBeans, right? So I got Apache NetBeans 11.3. So something very important, guys. So we will be using Apache NetBeans version 11.3 for the practicals in this exercise, and we'll be using Oracle Java developer docs for referencing, right? So that's something very important to mention, right? Okay, so I need to start my Apache NetBeans. I click on this, then my NetBeans will start loading, right? So it's getting loaded. Come on, come on, NetBeans, hurry up. We need to finish this, right? It's loading, right? It's loading, right? Let's wait until it load, right? So it's why is it taking some time? It takes a bit of time for it to load some of its components, but usually it doesn't take this long, right? It should come, faster than this, but sometimes it might be doing a simple update or something like that. Cool. So I got my NetBeans interface. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my first project. So I'm going to say file, new project, right? So just select Java Maven. Don't worry about Maven Gradland, so we have spoken about that in one of our previous videos, right? So just select Java application, click next, right? And then just give a location, where you want to save your project, right? So I'll quickly select my location, right? It's up to you to give a location of your choice. Sorry. Okay, so let me take into this, yeah, under lesson 1, right? So under lesson 1, I want to call this as, okay, example 1 for GUI, right? GUI, right? And it's okay, it's also under lesson 1, right? So example 1 under lesson GUI lesson 1. I would term it that way, GUI. So in the under example 1, right? All looks good. Click finish. So it creates the project, and now on your project you will expand the packages right over here, and you'll see a default package being created. Have a look at our other videos if you need to know about this basic stuff, right? So straight away I will be creating a Java class. Now keep in mind, when you do GUI development, there are many different ways of doing it, right? One is you do it from the scratch, right? You can code it from the scratch, or you can use the graphical tools, like visual designers, right? For you to do it, right? So let me quickly do one thing for you very quickly. So I would like to where's my stuff, right? I would like to do one thing, right? So I would like to say, when it comes to GUI developments, I would like to say there are two approaches, right? So I would put that here, right? So two approaches, right? Something very important. So I would say approaches, right? So I would put it for you, approaches for GUI, right? So one approach is coding from the scratch, right? Coding from the scratch, right? So that means you do everything by using the code, right? Coding from the scratch. The other option is you will be using visual builders, right? Or the visual designers, right? Designers, right? So in this lecture series we'll be covering both, right? But in today's lecture we'll be starting to do with coding from the scratch. That's for a good reason, because if you start with visual builders, straight away what will happen is, so what is visual builders? Visual builders meaning, if you have done like .NET or C# or some other language, you can visually create your interface, meaning you can drag a button, you can drag and drop a label, you can drag and drop a text box, and then you can, that is what is known as using visual builders. So in this lecture series of GUI development, after this lecture we will do another lecture about using visual builders. And why we don't do it at first is, why we do coding is, when you do coding you don't drag and drop or do anything, you write everything from the scratch, right? That way you understand the concept behind GUI development, because when you use visual builders, what it does is it auto generates the code, right? But if you are not good in coding, you will not able to understand that auto generated code. But if you code from the scratch, It's very easy for you to understand the auto-generated code behind the visual builders. That's the good reason why we code from the scratch, right? So this exercise, in this example, we are coding from the scratch, right, from the beginning, right? So now you basically you saw that the class JFrame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call from the scratch. So I'm going to import java x.swing. So as a developer, if you are getting trained yourself to become a developer, just make sure you copy things from the API, right? From that's for you as developers, right? So my first thing is I will right click new and say java class, right? And I will say example one for GUI, right? Some name guys, some name, right? So lesson one, right? So example one, GUI lesson one, right? That's what I want. And it will generate a simple class, right? It will make a simple class, right? So let me delete this, which I don't want now. I just want to keep some extra space, right? And let me immediately let me create the main method, right? So you all know how to create the Java main method. The syntax of the Java main method, guys, right? Awesome, awesome, good. So first steps first. So import java x.swing package, right? So you just copy it and just you'll be coming here, and at the top you'll say import java x.swing, right? Dot, either you can say asterisk, which will import all the classes, doesn't matter, or you could say only the specific class, right? So don't worry about that now, because focus on the GUI part, and when you do a little bit of programming, you will understand when to put the asterisk and when to put this, so it's not a big thing. So once you import, next thing is, as you know, you have to create an object. So just copy that class name, put it here. I'm going to create objects. All of you know how to create objects. If you don't know, look at one of our previous videos. So I'm going to say obj window 1. So I'm the JFrame is your window actually. So new JFrame, right? Awesome. I created the object, right? I got the object. So once you have the object, so looking at our slides, so first create the container. So we created the container. What's next? Then set the properties of the container, such as the layout, the title, and stuff like that, right? So for example, right now, so to do this, to set the layout, portion, title, basically what you do is you call the functions or the methods of the object, right? The basic concepts. So I'm going to put this. Okay, first create the container, which I did. Okay, so then set the component. So let me say first create the container. So I think it's a good idea if I do something like this, right? I will copy this part, right? Okay, so that it's going to help you, right? I'm going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this, right? Awesome. So I'm going to create the components. Awesome. Set the properties, then add, final display, right? So I'm going to put them as comments, right? I'm going to leave it because I already took it earlier. I think I typed it earlier here. Yes, I have typed, so I left it, but the rest I'm going to put here, right? And I'm going to make them as comments, right? So I'm going to make them as comments. So now you know basically what we are going to do. So we don't have to look at that slides now. We can just look here, right? So first thing done. Then set the important properties. So such as, okay, so what are the properties, right? Layout, position, title, and components. Let me put that as well, right? So and then what else over here? Create the components. Come on, fast, Maple, fast. Let's do it fast, right? Okay, right. And then set the properties of the components. Set the properties. Good, guys. We are doing good. So set the important properties of the container, right? So what are the important properties of the container, right? We are going to set, right? So very important. Let us say title, right? If you want to see a title on your window, you'll just say. So you have to call the method. So set the method is set title, right? So how do you find it? You will find it from the API, right? So when you look at the API or some other tutorials, right? If you do Google search, right, you will find to set the title. So if you want to be a developer, your reference is the API, but also sometimes you do Google search. You can search on Google how to set the title of JFrame. Then you will see on the object obj window 1 dot, there's a method called set title. And as you can see this API help, the displayed here, right? So as you can see, the set title parameter is a string. So I have to pass the title as a string parameter, right? So what I will do is, or if you want the basic concepts, look at our previous video. So set title, let's say hello world window, right? And you could even call it as my first GUI, right? My first GUI, right? So call it as my first GUI, hello world window, whatever you like to have it as a title. Then create the components. So what are the components? If you want to if you just want to say a hello message, it's simple that it is just a label, right? So what is what is a label? So in Java, a label got to create a label, you got a class called JLabel, right? So if you search Java API JLabel, you will be taken to the Oracle Java developer docs, and you can see there's a class called JLabel, and that is what you put if you want a label. And the same package javax.swing, right? So I have to do is I have to say import javax.swing.jlabel, guys, right? Now this is what I said. So if you put an asterisk here earlier, you don't have to put this line again, right? Asterisk means all the classes. If not, you can do it one by one like this, right? So just jlabel. So I'm going to create a jlabel. Once again, it's you create a label object. Let's say lbl. What do I want to call it as? Hello, yeah, just a name, guys, just a name. So then new JLabel, right? Cool. So we created our first JLabel object, and then so this is also standard class, and we just created object, and now set the properties of the component. So I got a component. What are components, guys? So components are things like labels and buttons, right? So I got a component lbl hello. Now set the properties of the this is the theory, guys. So you set the properties of the components, right? So you'll say lbl hello dot. So what are the properties you would like to set? Text, position, etc., right? So let's set the text. So there's a method called set text. Once again, if you need to know how to set the text for a label, and if you forget what the method as set text, just do a Google search, right? Google search telling Java JLabel setting text, then you will see the method as set text, and then you can just come and call it. And as you can see, again the parameter is a string. So set the text, let's call hello, right? Hello. So why not just call this as my first GUI, right? And over here let's say hello, right? Sounds good. So you set the text, you can set the color, position, etc., right? We'll come into that little later. Then add any event handling for the components. But what I will say, for now I'm not going to do any event handling, right? So I will say for this program we will not be doing any event handling, guys. So we'll not be doing an event handling for this. I want to keep it simple, and we'll do event handling in our next program, next lesson, right? Lesson after this. So what's next? Add the components to the container, right? So the components has to be added to the container. So what's the component? Here is your label, JLabel, and your container here is JFrame. So you have to add the JLabel into the JFrame. So how you do it? Once again, if you are not sure, you have to do a Google search. You will find, right? So once you do a Google search, you will see the method is on JFrame object. There's a method called add. So I will take the JFrame object, right? I'll be putting it here, and then there's a method called add, right? Add, something very important, right? Add, right? So you'll be adding. What are you going to add to the window? You're going to add your label. So you'll say lbl hello, right? lbl hello. Now one thing very important is when you add the label, the question is where will the label get positioned, right? So is it at the beginning of the window, or is it at the left or right, right? So the answer is this. First of all, in your frame you need to have a size, something very important, right? So when in the container you need to have a size, right? Something very important. I think that should be the first, right? You have to set the size. So let me update here, right? So important properties such as the size, right? So how to set the size of the container, right? So there are two methods, either set size or set bounds. So most important thing is on your object, first of all you have to tell the size of your window. So you can either call set size or set bounds, right? Either method. I'm going to go set bounds, so I can give x position, y, the width and the height. So I would like the window to come in the corner. So xy will be 0, 0, and I would like the window to have a width of say 500 pixels and let us say height of 300 pixels, right? Very important. Now the question is, when you add the label to this window, where will it get added? Is it at the beginning or is it toward the left or right, right? So that depends on the layout of the container, right? I'm repeating once again. So the position of the label, where it gets added, depends on the layout of the container.